Thank you very much, Amanda. And we will be open to some questions, but first I want to introduce the other members of the panel. First we have Bill Saunders, who's representing the labor people who are a very important part of Metro Vancouver Alliance as well. You know, certainly you have mentioned how absolutely important this group is, because it affects so many people across all the lines. Then the faith community is represented by Pat McSherry, who is representing those that are the religious groups, who also have people who belong to the unions, who are part of the labor union, so have the same interests or the same concerns as the unions have. And then Puma is representing the community organizations that can be, that also have a membership that are both part of the labor as well as the faith communities. So by using and organizing all of them, we hopefully are building the Metro Vancouver Alliance. So you have heard from Amanda how important developing the leadership among all of those groups and working together and getting an understanding from each other of the common concerns that we all have. So, Bill, if you want to say a bit about the labor part.
Boy, the place sure filled up. Well, you know, I guess I'm here to give... Sure. I'm I guess here to give the labor kind of perspective of how we see working in an alliance or a coalition and what our interests might be. Because I think it is about finding shared interests. From my point of view, I've been involved in a lot of coalitions, like I think many of you in this room. As a matter of fact, right now the Vancouver District Labor Council is involved in several other coalitions other than Metro Vancouver Alliance, which we actually don't consider to be a coalition. It's not an issue-based organization. It's about building a new type of organization, and we're very interested in that model. But we're involved in the Weekend End Violence Against Women Coalition and the Healthcare Coalition and several other groups that are focused on issues and try to bring together a group of interested people to try to advance this interest. But what's labor's general interest here? And I think the general interest of the labor movement at this time, and I would say it's not a universal conclusion, it's my conclusion, it's several other labor leaders' conclusion, and it's definitely a trend inside the labor movement, is that we are coming to the conclusion that we cannot win important social advances that well at the bargaining table anymore. But that's not the principal place where we're going to make the gains that are really necessary to advance the interests of working people. There's some things that can be done there, but they're very, very limited. So where is the potential to advance gains or to make gains that will actually change the lives of our members and advance the quality of life for them and their economic and social security? And I think more and more that's becoming the world outside, the wider, the broader world. It's not just people who happen to hold union cards. So that's our membership, that's who we're traditionally always working with. But now we have to consider all the working people, because there's more and more people that are working in precarious employment, they're not union members, etc. But they're working people, they have a working person's interest, they're trying to raise a family, they're trying to afford housing, they're trying to feed and clothe their family, they're trying to live a reasonable life and have an enjoyable life. And I guess that's the bottom line for all workers. So we've come to the conclusion that the labor movement has to speak out more and more for the interests of working people generally, not just union workers. But having said that, it doesn't really even stop there. It's about society. It's about the social gains that we all enjoy. We all benefit from parks and recreation. We all benefit from a good food supply. These aren't working people's issues per se. They're the issues of everybody who lives in society. So when we look at those big issues like that, we get the reaction that everybody seems to get, and that's that. Boy, how overwhelming that is. How are we going to take on neoliberalism at the global level and actually change something, defeat these people, and actually put in place something that's more people-oriented and serves the interests of human beings as opposed to profit and corporations and things. And our conclusion is that we can't do it on our own. It would be impossible. We need the broadest possible groups that we're able to form that can accept that mission, and we need to be able to develop a solid working relationship with them that can survive times of stress and division and all these other things that I think were very well pointed out by Amanda on that chart. This is the way that if you've been through coalition life, you know that these are the things that arise and occur. So the fact that someone is actually studying and proposing a new model, and this is, by the way, isn't just Amanda. This is the Industrial Areas Foundation. This is the Solomonsky model that goes back 50 years. And that talks about building relations and a relationship basis among people, not just on one issue, but on organizations that really want to work together to achieve real power in a community to achieve the issues that matter to them. And that is something that we think is a pretty exciting venture. It's difficult. We know that it's difficult. It's not easy. But I get a lot of solace from the fact that this has succeeded in lots of places. These coalitions are in place in Sydney. They're in place in London Citizens Organization. They're in place in Los Angeles, in Chicago, various other places. There's no reason why we can't build the same thing here. We have to let go a little bit of the past, you know, because we tend to carry our past with us, and that means we carry the past mistakes. And we have to be able to think more creatively. We have to learn some of the lessons that I think that are there for us, and that means, for example, sharing power and dealing with each other on an equal basis as possible, that we have equal buy-in, that we tolerate some differences, but that we focus on the core ingredients that we really think we can move things forward and advance. And I believe that is the basis that the Metro Vancouver Alliance is being formed on. I think that there's a lot of room for the labor movement to come to understand that, to come to support it, and to come to want to work in a new way with other members of the community to achieve real power for citizens, a real voice for citizens, a real ability to create an agenda that's our agenda and to have it implemented, either at the community level or certainly for us. When we talked at the Metro Vancouver Alliance, we're talking about the province and aiming ourselves at the province where a lot of the power does lie for us in our community. So that's our goal. It's a difficult goal. It's going to have a lot of bumps in the road. But I think you saw generally the outline laid out, and I guess it's up to a lot of you and your organizations and your own individual understandings about whether you think that's a worthwhile thing to pursue and you want to pursue it.
So, Pat and Sherry, of the faith community.
Amanda, thank you very much for writing this book. We've been working on the Metro Vancouver Alliance, or I've been working on the group for about 3 years, and we've struggled with these issues that you have articulated so well and given us a framework to work from. The tension that Amanda talks about between organizing, you know, making sure you've got the organizational strength, and issues. People say, well, what are you going to do? I mean, I have this issue, I want you to do this. It helps us know that, you know, other people struggle the same way, and it's better to build. We don't lose it. The group that I represent on the MVA board is the St. James Anglican Church Social Justice Group. So, social justice has been around for a long time. We can't do it alone. Like Amanda said in the beginning of her book, and she mentioned here, in 2003, when millions of people hit the street, and I've been on the peace marches here, you've all been on the peace marches here, when millions of people around the world hit the street and it didn't make any difference, the penny dropped. This isn't working. This isn't working. We have to find another way to be able to take power. I was very fortunate to go and take some training, the IAF training, in Edmonton, and we talk a lot about power, and not the negative things about power, but the positive things about power, how we can together be a powerful force for social change. Thank you all for coming. Just a quick question, how many of you here are members of organizations that are already members of the MBA? We have 20 organizations, I know some of you in the room. Well, thank you very much for coming, and I hope that others are inspired to take the information back to their organization and see if you would like to become a part of this. And it's wonderful to see young people here. We're users.
And now we'll have Buddha Usad. I'm sorry.
I've called worse. I've been called worse. Thank you, neighbor. I'm a Fijian and she's an Aussie, so we are neighbors. First of all, thank you very much. It was enlightening, and it is affirming some of the beliefs that we believe in. Now, going back to the community, as you know, the community, the faith group, and the labor is a three-legged stool. Sometimes, when it is placed on the ground, it is not level, but because of the difficulties that it is going to be faced with, but it is always adjusted to make the ends meet. What is really happening in North America today? It is frightening for any person who is in a minority community situation or in a majority community situation. What is going to happen is here there's going to be less government, so therefore less protection for we old-timers and their children and their children. You have seen what this government has done recently. It does not want detailed census, and guess why? Because they have to do some social planning down the road for its citizens, and they are not willing to do it at this particular time because they want to only give to the rich. So therefore, I very strongly believe that time has come for all of us to do some stock taking, and we have to support the labor, whether if you are in the union or if you are not, because somebody in your household is in the union, and everyone is entitled for a living wage. Be it man, woman, black, white, brown, or blue. It doesn't matter. The other thing is also that one of the major issues that is going to be confronting us, Canadians, is health again. We're going back to the health issue. And it is coming. What I've been told that now the Conservatives are running around making phone calls and asking for donations because they are planning to call an election in very near future. So that most of it will come after that. So my prayer to you all is only one prayer. Go and spread the word and recruit more people, convince your faith group, your social clubs, annual labor unions to join MBA. Thank you very much.